One, zero, and liftoff.
Just doing my thing.
Thank you for tuning in to the Voice of C38. In this episode, this crew is going to talk transfer window and create a whole bunch of rumors and make up a whole bunch of stuff about guys that probably won't ever show up.
Everything is cited except for one I plan to
Come
make
on,
up.
it's all factual.
We got a couple
It could
guests
just be
in the
dreaming
house.
too. It could just be wishful thinking.
So let's all say hi to Wanathon
Hello, Juan Fernandez here.
and Colin joining us as well.
What's up, guys?
The Drunken Monk is in Oregon,
Well met.
although he's not on casting on Twitch. He still gives the gamer hello.
Once a gamer, always a gamer.
Right.
Wherever you
Always.
may wander.
So none of us really want to talk about anything that happened last week. Our game, the other games.
Well, let's just call it Gold Cup break. We talked
And-
about our game already.
And the one Gold Cup that we've been able to watch really wasn't anything worth watching, really. It was kind of, I don't know, scary for the U.S., I guess, if that's kind of your focus right now. But for us, it's really kind of the transfer window and what could happen, might happen, or won't happen for the Rapids.
For specifically us, it's kind of what we've been looking forward to for a couple of months as the only thing that might snap this season into shape.
Pretty much been looking forward to this window since April.
Way before that.
Yeah, February.
Before
You
that,
mean since
yeah.
the last window closed and nothing happened?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Pretty much since Boateng went down, it was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm personally excited for the Open Cup, especially FC Cincinnati, because I want them to put the cup set. You know, that's just me because I love the Open Cup.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with going for the underdogs and the teams that, in some ways, and to the eyes of many people, don't belong there.
Yep.
So it's fun to root for them, and Cincinnati is got some I don't know what the word I'm looking for. They got some
Communism.
pizzazz, I
Oh.
guess. I mean, there's just a lot of focus on them, and they can fill an arena, a stadium.
Speaking of which, Nashville apparently impressed Don Garber too.
Yeah,
They've
making
been,
a little special trip out to
they've been
NC.
bumped up in the expansion listings too for their turnout.
Nashville, and then there was I saw something for North Carolina too, that might be pushing another bid as well. So it'll be curious to see what Garber chooses or who he chooses in the future. But LAFC is close to signing somebody as we're talking about transfer windows and
Jumping right into
rumors.
the big one, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're talking about teams that don't exist.
Oh,
so
okay.
that kind of brought me into it. Teams that aren't really there, but. How would you feel as a Rapids fan if a team that doesn't really exist lands a signing like Wesley Schneider? A team that doesn't exist yet, isn't playing till next year, blah, 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 lands a big signing. I mean, that happened a lot with Atlanta, too.
They got to field a team for next year, so they should be making moves. So that doesn't hurt
And that's
me
the
that
second
way.
big signing they've been
Yeah, I was going to
rumored
say,
significantly.
Austin's all up the butt about the first one, so...
Austin.
Chicharito, man. I'll be happy to see him play in the MLS, which eventually will happen.
I think he's going to West Ham.
Sounds like it's going to be next season with LAFC, which is disappointing. But
No, he's going
Like-
to West Ham.
the Rapids need to wake up a little bit more. They did all right a year ago when they picked up Howard and Jones, and they've spent some money on Gashi and Doyle, but they're going to have to really step up their game a bit more.
Step your game up.
There it is.
Yep. Austin's casting in a bathroom, by the way. He's got to hide away from the in-laws.
I do.
I just picture him fetal position in the bathtub, mic in hand,
I pictured him on the toilet with the computer on the sink or something.
sitting back,
Refreshing MLS
sitting
app.
backwards with the computer on the tank.
Yeah.
Refreshing MLS app transfers with rumors and lists.
Yep.
Are you in the Timbers part of town, or where are you in Oregon?
Yeah, I'm in the Timbers part of town. I'm over.
Two of
in,
us have connections to Oregon.
Beaverton.
Oh, I used to live in Beaverton.
Yeah.
I wanted to live in Boring.
No, you don't. There's not much to do there.
That's why.
No, it's not worth it. Just to say you live in Boring is not worth living in Boring.
I want an address that says Boring. Anyway,
There's a lot better places you could live.
Yeah.
absolutely, I digress. But Um,
Well, at least we have no Timbers rumors either. So there's another. We're not the only team not doing shit yet publicly.
think-
In fact, that's like 90%
Yeah.
of the MLS right now isn't rumored to do anything.
The 90% on top of us.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about who is rumored to do something.
well, I mean, bringing players in or losing players, because Dallas might lose somebody
Let's talk
big.
about it all right.
Walker Zimmerman. I kind of don't mind seeing him go, just because that would.
Be better for us.
Yeah, I mean,
To not have him there. Yeah.
Where is he going?
it would hurt Dallas. Hoffenheim has made an offer, or they're
Reported to have.
reported to have made an offer and are very, very interested, enough to the point where, articles are being put out. It's more than we can say about our boys. But if a large offer comes in for Axel, would you guys be happy for that?
Happy for Axel or happy for us?
Both.
Yes and no.
Okay. So happy
yes
for
and
Axel,
yes.
but not happy for us? Or how's your yes and no go?
Would I be happy to lose Axel? No.
Okay.
No. Would I be happy for him if he got a big offer? Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
I'm the exact same way.
I think it depends on how much, because money talks, and if we can sell, I'm not saying we should, but if there is an opportunity that someone comes knocking for Axel and there's a big hefty sum, then I think we should take it.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Do you think that's
On one
ever-
condition.
Which is
We have to sign in his replacement Gerard Piqué.
Okay,
That's
I'm
my
okay with
only
that.
offer
That's the best condition ever.
because not just Piqué, but he brings with him Shakira.
Yeah.
And,
Free Shakira concert
yes.
at Dick's for the 4th of July.
I need to be within 100 feet or miles of Shakira at any time. I have a friend named Shakira, that's why it's confusing. Shakira. I used to call her Shakira, now I call Shakira Shakira. So.
I could see how you could jumble
Yes.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not something you would accidentally do in bed.
So maybe I'll get the opportunity.
There you go.
If only Gerard Piqué gets signed to the Colorado Rapids. He's only worth 40 million euros.
Oh, man.
I
so
think we
that
can
puts
swing
us
that.
at what?
Well, that puts them at like 10,000 US right now.
I was going to say 28,000 or million, but
I'll give him my used Dodge.
It's probably worth more than the Rapids.
And like the Tim Howard offer, I'll help him move his couch.
I got your big screen, man. I'll bring it in. I feel like at times there might have been some offers for Powers, but they weren't really ever taken.
He had a trial.
He did,
That didn't-
but it went backwards on him.
Well,
I guess.
the
Well,
management-
it wasn't
change of
his.
management,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It
That was
wasn't
just
his fault. It
bad
was
fortune.
just unfortunate timing. Many people on the message boards and forums feel like it's his time to go.
He's not doing anything here. I think he would want to go at this point. I mean, last year they said 2 years ago, sorry, they said they were going to build a team around him. Now he's sitting the bench.
Yeah.
How does he feel about that?
Well, there are a couple other players that might feel the same way. That if I'm not going to play here, I want to go.
Oh,
And-
sure. But I wish them the best. The ones that aren't playing anyway don't hurt me as much as the ones that I rely on, like Axel.
Wasn't a Powers mostly because of Pablo didn't play him that way? No team could have scouted him enough.
That's how I felt.
That's what I think happened.
Because I feel like there's been times in Rapids history, it hasn't been just with Pablo as coach. There's been other coaches that have done this as long as I've been a media member. I've seen certain players who have had interest from clubs, all of a sudden their playing time stops. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of our club's way of saying, no, we're not going to let go of this player, when maybe we probably were in a better position to do so. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we value certain players more than others. And maybe their value on the field is less than it is in the front office, and that's why we don't sell certain players at certain times. We give certain players longer runs in the season than maybe they deserve, when there are other players on the bench who might be better. This is just kind of something that the club has done for many years.
I think with Powers, it's I don't know, based on timing. He did really good his rookie year and his sophomore year. He still was doing pretty good, and then he started going down. So his value was up, but then he stopped getting playing time as he stopped being
Utilized
useful.
the way he was before.
Yeah, and it just and then he had that PK miss, and then he just completely tanked after that, and so his value probably would have gone down anyway, even if he was getting playing time, because he just didn't seem to be the same player he was his rookie year.
Well, you're right, and even when like we all harp on MLS announcers every time that they dog on Rapids and their players, but when they pick up the fact that Powers isn't playing the way he used to, and that he's afraid to take the shots that he used to and be as creative as he used to, and they're noticing the things that he's not doing. I mean, it's 3 years later. We all noticed it 2 years ago, but they're a little behind the curve. But everyone is noticing now that Powers isn't the player he used to be. So what do you do about that?
Is that Powers' fault?
I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't think so. No, because I think Mastroeni took a explosive midfielder in the form of rookie Dylan Powers and turned him into a two-way midfielder here that passes one way or back. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any other lane to pass into, and I think that's just Pablo ball.
So it's the defend from the top thing also affecting Power. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right, too.
Mm-hmm.
Where 10 guys, sometimes 11, need to play defense, and that hurts a lot of players' abilities. And we talk about Doyle and how much he's not producing or hasn't produced, but even when we signed him, he was a goal every 4-game kind of player. I did his average, and throughout his entire career, it was a goal every 4 games until he got here. It's even more than that now because of how much he's being asked to defend and not having a lot of service. So
I don't know. I would agree that Powers has been stifled by Pablo a bit, but at the same time, I never saw Powers as an explosive number 10. He just you can tell an explosive number 10 that even with a coach like Pablo you can still see the want to do that, and then he'd get benched. So someone like Marco Papa, someone that is looking forward and pushing forward, isn't defending much, got benched for playing that way, versus Powers, who got benched for basically not doing either. Like, he basically became ineffective defending and as a number 10.
Well, then what do you think about Gashi when he's at the 10? He plays his best there, and then Pablo decides to move him on the wing and tells him to go back. I think it's a systematic way of, last year specifically, of just defend and just get a few lucky balls into the middle.
I think that Pablo puts him outside because he's less of a defensive liability because he doesn't defend as much as some of the other guys in the midfield. Mm-hmm. And when you put him outside, you're not missing that as much as you would when he's supposed to be the number 10, even though Pablo doesn't look at the number 10 the way we do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also part of the problem because, between Gashi being healthy and not healthy, Pablo plays guys in positions they don't belong in. Ask Mikael Williams. So I think that as a player, that's got to be a little bit frustrating. I played a tournament this weekend, and I didn't play. I played 4 games, and not once did I play in my position. It was freaking frustrating.
What'd you play?
I played left back.
Oh.
I play better in the center of the field. I can play center back. I can play center mid. I can play, all the way through the center of the field. But you put me outside, I'm not as useful as I would be in the center. So as just an amateur player as me, if I'm uncomfortable, no matter what, even as a professional, if you're not playing in your position, the one you want to be in, you're not 100% comfortable. Even on game day, no matter how much you want to fool yourself, you're still not comfortable.
So then is there a difference between position and then play style?
Yeah.
If your coach tells you to do this, do this, do this.
Speaking of Gashi, there's just posted from the Denver Post, Colorado Rapids midfielder Gashi is carried off the pitch on a stretcher and is now going to be getting an MRI following his flare-up of his Achilles and has been dropped out of the practice squad.
He was carried off the practice pitch today?
No,
or is that from when he was carried off last time?
Yeah. But
that's a follow-up to his game
he's
injury.
Getting an MRI.
So it sounds like it's a follow-up to the game injury.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should transfer a new trainer.
Well, I've made comments for what feels like at least a year and a half. I feel like this team is not as fit as they should be.
Yeah, Miguel needs to get his shit together.
I mean, I'm not throwing it all on him, but I do feel like there are areas that this club likes to cut corners.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like that might be one of those areas. Playing at altitude, we should have more of an advantage than we do, especially when we go on the road, and we don't. And we shouldn't be hearing excuses about how guys have tired legs. Yes, I mean, between not having a full roster and the last spring of games, 7 games in 21 days and whatnot, there shouldn't be a whole lot of excuses. We didn't fill the roster that we should have. And we could have gone out and signed, minimum salary kind of type players that would have played in U.S. Open Cup games, that we would have been able to save some of the other legs of guys that we needed for MLS type games.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have cost us anything extra than what it is now. We just haven't done that. And then on top of all of that, it just kind of feels like we haven't maybe made some of the right decisions, bringing certain guys in or not bringing guys in. And again, who knows how attractive we are?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we've got Tim Howard, but how many people want to play for KSE, or how many people want to play for Pablo? Like, I mean, we brought in some guys that did want to play for Pablo, but do they now? And I'm wondering if, we certain people have mentioned it, is, does he still have the locker room? Because that's kind of something that you need to ask when it comes to the chemistry of the team. And you mentioned personality too.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to bring in someone who's got a little bit of a personality that'll help uplift the squad? And Gashy's that kind of guy that's got that personality. But if he's not in the squad, if he's hurt,
I think that personality is kind of fitted away, don't you think?
well, there's definitely something missing.
It's not the same Gashi.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, nobody gets the hug anymore.
What do you mean?
You
by
might get a handshake here and there, but I mean, the dude's a pretty friendly guy. I mean, no matter what.
He used to just pick you up and hug the hell out of you when you scored a goal, and to the point of
I mean, he got carded
in
for
trouble,
running on and
yeah.
celebrating.
So, coming out of the same article, I'm trying to read a little bit more. Mastriani says everybody else, barring any unforeseen injury from now to then, should be available for Toronto. He also expects the club to add 2 players in the coming weeks, including one that will definitely raise the level of the group.
I'm going to throw out a couple names. They might be names we've heard before, but I'm part of me is kind of wondering if they never let go of targets that they've had in the past, like Kumsen.
What was that?
Villa.
There was that one Jamaican last year that was with the squad. They were just
Oh.
practicing.
No,
What's his name?
Yeah. They've brought him in 2 years in a row, and he just never could. He couldn't get accoladed to the altitude, and he wasn't fully fit. Luton Shelton.
There, yeah.
Yep.
You think you can sign this year?
No,
Third time's the charm.
We need a Carlos Villa kind of signing, maybe.
Oh, Vela.
Villa,
Carlos
whatever.
Vela.
I think it would behoove the club to find a Mexican international.
I always throw out Marco
It would be.
Fabian.
Another one.
That's my
Yeah.
that's my
All right.
10 that would fit this club perfectly.
What's his price tag though?
Yeah, last I checked, which was in January, was like $4 million.
It's doable.
Dollars.
Doable.
I'll check up on it right now.
Do you guys got any thoughts?
I think signing a Mexican international would be great. They've been talking about it for years, probably going on a decade now, almost, about trying to get someone big from Mexico, and it's just never happened.
Okay, so
in the off chance, Austin, that Chicharito doesn't come here, who would be your backup?
Ooh.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I can't name everyone either in Mexico.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Marco's going for 7 million euros, which is he bumped.
Ooh,
his
that
price
might be a
tag
little
up
high.
bit. Yep.
Oh,
That would
The one
certainly
rumor
raise
I've heard the most
level.
of, and this was admittedly a while back, was Aaron Johansson.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's still, if that's just one story going to another and getting turned from he wants to go to MLS to he wants to go specifically to the Rapids or what. But
Well, and
that sounds like one of the more likely ones.
and would he be part of the allocation? Like, does that work for past U.S. roster guys or current U.S. national team members? And if so, we have no place, because where we stand with the allocation order, we'd have to make some moves for that.
Who's first?
I thought it was Dallas.
LA Galaxy, because they're always first.
I'm not sure, but I think it's Dallas.
Because didn't DC traded for it to bring DeShorn in? They traded for the allocation spot.
They might have. I'm not sure. There was something going on, but that's beyond me. I just know that we are not first, and we'd have to make some trades. And I don't know if we have really anything other teams want.
I think I'm probably in the dissenting opinion of Aaron Johansson coming here. I don't think he would. The way he plays would really help us out.
I don't know if he'd fit our system.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be another frustrated square peg in a round hole.
And there would be a lot of supporters and fans that would see it as a busted move.
Columbus
Yeah.
are first in the allocation.
Okay. They're expected to make some moves this window.
Mm-hmm.
Well, alrighty then.
I think another player you can actually bring in from the Bundesliga would be Julian Green to the Rapids.
Wow.
I think he'd fit way better than Johansson would. Ruben Rubio as well. I don't know. Those are just some names to throw out.
I think we'd have to stay away from U.S. internationals.
You think so?
I just don't think we have the trade bait for the allocation spot.
Who would you trade away for an allocation spot then? Would you trade away Powers? Would he be worth the allocation spot?
Oh my
Just
God,
to bring
I'd
someone
trade
else?
Yeah.
Powers for half of an allocation spot.
I'd trade him for Gam or Tam or whatever, too. You know,
Powers is absolutely worthless on this team right now.
I wouldn't say
Like,
worthless.
It's not entirely his fault, but he's more value to us to get out.
You're probably right there, but I definitely wouldn't say he's worthless. I mean, he still brings some skill and some athleticism to the table, and you know, he draws fouls, and he's not worthless, but he could be maybe an
but he's your
allocation spot. I mean, I don't know
fourth
if Columbus
starter,
would feel
like-
like they would need somebody like him.
They have Higuain at that
He's
spot.
just so far back in the list of people that I would start in any role.
Columbus would
And
they would need a good center back, maybe.
No, not Axel. Not Axel.
Exactly. See,
I wouldn't trade Axel for an allocation ranking.
but
Mm-hmm.
I'd need money for Axel. And
Courtney?
quite a bit of it.
Yeah, honestly, Courtney, yeah, because I think we're not known for like building. We still have a lot of young talent on the squad that still haven't reached their potential. You know what I mean?
Watts.
Yeah, definitely Watts. I trade Watts away, only because I think he wouldn't play center back over there. He'd play center defensive mid. He'd play his actual position.
Which maybe that's what he wants.
And the only reason I'd say we keep Watts here is he's one of our best long passers. Whenever we need to distribute the ball to the wings, far out, we always give it to Watts, and he usually knows how to get it done.
Yeah.
I think our problem could end up happening is it's going to take more than one player to get us anything. Like, we need space, we need money, we need to move up in the allocation. Like, whatever we are trying to do, it's probably going to take more than one player, and our sellable players would be someone like Watts and Schuberg. And if they did both of those players, then we literally have nobody on that back line.
And then
Because
it wouldn't be
Bobby's
worth
on
it.
his way out after the season, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
So we literally have no tenured people on that back line, and you're going to leave it up to basically Ford and DeFont. Like, that's really dangerous to do that kind of a move. And Watts is pretty cheap for how good he is.
Burling's going, really?
A lot of us feel like this is his last year.
In
So
the game or at the team?
More the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's retiring.
I wouldn't think it's so much with the team. I think the team would love to hold on to Bobby for as long as they can. I think it's more about how long can Bobby play. This is 2 years in a row now where he's kind of spent half the season on the injured list. So I don't know. It's up to him, though. Obviously, as a player, do I want to keep playing? I don't know how his contract is, if he's done at the end of the year.
He's done at the end of this year.
So the Rapids may sign him to like a 1 year lowered contract kind of thing. That's kind of off-season stuff. But the Maxwell posted a little article kind of breaking down, position by position, what you feel like or what he felt like the team needed. Clearly, we haven't talked about goalkeepers, but we do have one that's very, very valuable that we could get rid of.
Yeah, I don't think
I really hope we don't get rid of him, though.
Well, you do know which one I'm talking about, right?
McMath?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like McMath. I really like McMath to the point where I don't want to see him get traded because his backup would be Burner, and we have no idea what he's like.
This is true. Charlotte does, but we don't.
Math under us until Howard retires. That would be the best bet. You give him another year. Howard's got 2 years left in his contract after this one.
Yes.
Wait,
so, maybe in the last year of Howard's contract, you see him playing a little bit less and start giving McMath a few more minutes.
But then how old would McMath be?
Well, next year's a World Cup year, too, so he'll get a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, presumably.
Assuming, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming Howard is still on.
Well, I think that's Howard's spot.
McMath
I'm more assuming that the U.S. actually makes it.
Okay.
I still think McMath is going to go to LAFC.
Yeah, you told me that a long time ago. Mm-hmm. That worries me, too.
I think because if LAFC want to start with a great keeper, they should go for someone who isn't getting playing time and who is a really good keeper.
He is a very obvious choice for the other guys.
If you look at the keepers in this league and the caliber that we have a lot of good keepers in this league. And the fact that we, as the Rapids, have two really good keepers where either one of them could be, your best keeper on any given day. You could put either one in the starting lineup and expect good saves out of both of them. The Rapids have some value there. But it would be smart, long-term wise, to keep him in your pocket. I think that's
math.
Yeah, I do kind of think that, and I wanted him to stick around last season, and I was afraid he was gone because the guy wants to play. He made comments, and he was the best keeper in the league until he lost his spot, which it wasn't even due to being outplayed. It was just
money
due to a name and money, and that's unfortunate because
he's made some comments recently though that he's kind of okay with where he's at right now.
He's getting paid pretty well. I mean,
and maybe the negotiations were basically, hey, if you stick it out with us, Howard's going to retire, and you're going to get a chunk of that change.
Yeah,
well, that's what I would have been doing. If I was in the front office, I'd have been telling him, look, Howard's old, and when he signed that contract, Howard was hurt, so you're going to be starting the beginning of the season, and he's probably might get hurt again. Plus, Matt mentioned World Cup year. You're going to get some playing time, more than you think. Just stick it through, and you'll be the starting keeper for the future. We just had to bring him in for show fodder.
Yeah, and Austin, your point is good, presuming we're a number one team or a very good team, but why be the second string to a losing team when you can go somewhere and be the starting keeper?
He might not
LAFC.
get as much money at another place, though.
Well,
He'll get enough to live.
Do we think that?
We can agree with that.
Do we all agree or think that Howard's going to retire here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Unless Nashville gets a team.
You think so? I think he might go to New York to retire. That's just what I think, though.
Well, I mean, you go back to Jersey, that's one thing. New York,
gonna
New
be-
Jersey, one thing. But his family's in Nashville.
Yeah, and New York
He's gonna
has
be
always
40 when
been
we're
the
done with
team
him.
to spend money on their offense. And not
Casey Keller played
their
one more year.
defense.
True.
So I just don't see the kind of money he got offered here 2 years from now at another team, especially for what will presumably be a shorter contract than this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, and at that point, I think if Howard is retiring here, then I think that would give McMath more reason
To stick around.
to. I actually thought it'd give him more reason to leave, because if Howard's going to be here till the end, then that's going to be another 2 years that he's not playing as starter keeper. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And years
Matter.
of good, playing day. You're the best day of your life.
Right. When he's
sitting
supposed to
on
be
a
in his
bench.
prime.
Yeah, but keepers can go way more than outfield
Oh, yeah.
players. So
Howard, assuming he retires at the end of this contract, he's going to be 40.
Mhm.
So, and there's been keepers that have played to 45.
There's been
or
keeper.
even older in the MLS.
In the
Like,
MLS, I only know the one. How old was shit?
I only
Manchester
know of,
United's,
I only know of Conejo Perez, who is he's still playing. He's like 48 or something. He's old.
There's that keeper that came off the bench that used to play for the Rapids last season for someone last year with us. I can't remember who it was.
Not
But he
for
played
us,
back-
man. Because it was either Burner or
No,
McMahon.
not come off the bench for us. He used to play for us, and he came off of somebody else's bench against us.
Crickets.
not.
I mean, the only thing, Joe Cannon's the first thing that came to my mind, but he's been retired for a little
The
bit.
hell's his name? The guy who was a sheriff as well.
Joe Nasco?
Joe Nasco. It wasn't Nasco, was it?
No.
I can't remember. It might have been more than a year ago, but I thought it was last year.
I think
Most
we're
of-
fine at goalkeeper though.
Yeah, most of our backups have just kind of disappeared into oblivion.
Where's Mazzell? Is he back at Charlotte?
No. He's in college.
Cody Mazzell?
Yeah. Isn't he at Stanford?
I'm not sure. I just remember he was with us for like not even
Because I think he was...
3 games.
So that's 20 minutes of talking about the position we don't need to fill.
Yeah.
Right,
Let's
right,
talk about
right.
positions we do need to fill.
So-
Outside back.
Well, before we close that, do you think we should sell McMath?
I think Walker Zimmerman. If the right offer comes in with some serious cash, kind of like we did with Deshaun Brown, yeah, you gotta entertain that offer. Especially with kind of, I think the club feels like they do need to make some sort of move, or they're gonna piss off pretty much their entire payroll of fans. So they're gonna listen. If the offer is good enough, then who knows? But outside back.
Well, real quick, that just strikes me though as the kind of thing that would work out well for the selling McMath would work out well for the short term, but long term it'd be better to keep him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel like too. It
Yeah,
sounds
so
like Juan
continue.
as well. But yeah, so outside back, we don't really have, aside from Eric Miller, anyone who really, I guess you could say Marlon Hairston, that stands out as saying that's their position. And even so, it's not like they're playing it that often.
I'd groom Castillo to be there.
Yeah.
I really like him.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel if we keep him there, he'd lock down right back, put Miller on left back. Because Miller is probably our best outside back.
Yep.
And I'd say probably our best defender.
He's
This
definitely
year.
consistent. I mean, his play is consistent. He doesn't. I mean, you know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to work his ass off, and in most cases, he's going to do very well. This is a position I feel like I don't necessarily feel like we need to sign a starter or someone. Yeah, we lost Mark Birch, but we've been able to kind of do okay. I think we just need to make a decision as to who plays in those positions and stick with it.
Castillo Miller, that's what I say.
All right. And then where would you put Marley? In the midfield?
Right mid.
All right. I like it. Okay. Center back.
With how things are going right now?
I don't
We need a
think-
new center back.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I'm okay with who we have.
I don't agree. I think we've had, if you have Schubert in there and Watts, I think backup. I'm not a huge fan of DeFont, comparatively to like Ford. Like I think DeFont will be a good player eventually, but he's not growing as quickly as Ford. But I think if you have Watts and Schubert in there, we have a solid center backs.
Well, I think with how things are going right now, I think we need a center back short term because DeFont's USL, it shows that he's a USL defender. You know, he's making so many mistakes. He doesn't know how to head the ball correctly, and I think short term we should sign a defender who can play, or maybe even just put Mikel there because I think having Mikel there over DeFont would be way better.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it
if
makes
you're
me-
looking at like a month-long break here, that hopefully a couple of our players come back from injuries. Like you're discussing, where we're talking about players that were literally filling in because we had 7 games in 21 days, and we have a lot of injuries. Like hopefully some of that stuff starts coming back. Every team at some point in their season starts running low in a certain position and has to put in some people like DeFont.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder if going back to like what Pablo said, if we're going to sign 2 players, one of them is going to be like the top signing that we're going to have this year. Admittedly, kind of a low bar right now, but it makes me wonder if like the second signing is going to end up being depth at center back.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. Just because Pablo's going to want to defend.
I would expect, or hope, not expect, I would hope that we do have at least one relevant signing where we could get somewhat excited.
Mm-hmm.
And then, bringing in 2 players is good, but they got to give us something, at least one starter. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what he said in that one interview, but yeah, I don't know. We definitely
and it needs to be an offensive starter, in my opinion. It needs to be someone that's going to bolster our offense. Even though we've been doing better, I think if we could get a real offensive drive and get our defense healthy, we could actually compete.
I just fear that if we get someone that's really offensive, is their performance going to be tampered with, their ability,
Anyone who comes here.
due to the style of play that we're being
This
asked
is
to
all
play.
underlaid by this kind of, we all know who needs to be replaced here.
Yeah, it's just
But he's
don't
not on
want
the
to
table.
straight up say it.
He's not on the table.
But look, our offense has actually been scoring goals and had multiple goal games since he switched to a 4-4-2. So I think that some of those problems might be a little bit into the past. Now, whether he's going to continue to do that or can he coach a really offensive player, yeah, it might stifle a player a little bit. But I think you put the right one more offensive piece out there with the 4-4-2 setup we're running right now, and I think we would be all right. I don't think he would stifle it that much. I think the problem was partially his lineup style and his players he had, and he coached really defensively, and it seems, based on what we've seen, that he's started to at least try and change that mindset. Now, whether he's capable of completely changing that, who knows? But we've seen more offensive soccer lately.
Are you talking about the lineup style of covering your eyes and throwing a dart at a list of names?
Yeah.
Basically.
I
Okay.
disagree
Yeah, that
with
does
you,
need to
but-
be changed. We're lacking consistency, and that's the obvious reason why.
And not only that, the only way Pablo knows how to attack is go down the wings and cross it into the box, and hopefully someone's there.
Which gets really predictable really fast.
Yeah, and that's any team could counter that like that. Like a team, especially on the 4th, like Seattle, knew how to beat us that way. And that's just get Ramon Torres in there.
Yeah,
You know.
it's just a
And Vancouver's already
solid
watching
defense.
Vancouver's already planning on that happening next game,
Toronto, right?
Vancouver, they're coming here. Oh, we play in Toronto. But
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I was thinking about next home game. Yeah. There is another away game, all right?
Yeah, I think.
Damn it.
I don't know. I just think that
Toronto, I wrote off. I'm not even going to pay attention to that game.
that
Go to it, it doesn't matter.
the style of play that Pablo goes for isn't. It sure gets forward, but that doesn't mean it's attacking.
There's still some pieces missing.
Yeah, a lot.
Pieces and tactics still need to be plugged into what we have. Players as well. And whether it happens this transfer window or not, that's kind of still to be undecided. There are still some teams that are making some moves and stuff like that, but it's early in the window. I would like to see this club break the trend of waiting to the end of things. And
Till 0
actually,
hour, yeah.
and getting us some good news early, especially while we're not playing right now, because then you can hopefully get that guy integrated into the practice and the altitude and the team and the locker room, because those kind of things take time.
You know, it'd be fun if it's going to be a big name. Hey, let us go to the airport and greet them like other cities do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be
yes.
fun? Telling us before they actually got here.
Right?
That doesn't happen though.
It doesn't happen here. It happens
They
in
want
other
to keep it a
other
secret and
seasons.
reveal themselves.
Or it happens
At-
in other cities. It does.
At DSG where there's no one there.
It's like we knew about Howard before it happened, but we weren't going to be told when he was showing up.
We would have been there.
Yeah. Just a little sign on the side. Welcome.
Let him
His
know
voice got to
him know
grace
he's
the
known.
train, though.
Yeah, for a day. So midfielders. I think we're pretty stacked in this area.
Do you mean like wide midfielders or
Well, we can
Like
kind of
the
group them all
whole
together.
spectrum?
Yeah.
we need a 10?
We're in the home.
sure.
Yeah,
We're in the
we're
home
not
stretch.
stacked.
42
We just have a
minutes
lot
or
of players
Yeah.
there.
We do have a lot of players, and
There's a difference between those two.
And a number 10 is something that we've talked about all season long.
And all last season and the season before that.
So do you feel like we're actually going to answer that call?
Pretty much since Connor Casey left.
And Cummings, and yeah.
Well,
Basically since 2010.
Well, what happens when our number 10 gets injured? Like, let's say we do bring in a number 10. What happens then?
We're back to square one.
Yeah, that's the only fear I have, and that's why I think the change from 4-4-2, that we don't really need a 10. If there's going to be that 4 midfielders there, but if we ever want to play 4-2-3-1, we need a strong 10. You know what I mean?
They really wanted to play a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Whether
They just didn't have the player for it.
Right. Whether they want to get back to that or not, we'll have to find out.
He flirted
based
with
on-
it at the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
He flirted with the.
and it backfired.
4-2-3-1.
Every time he's kind of played with it a little bit, it's kind of come back to back with backfire. More so against teams that are MLS quality than so much Open Cup. But if we're gonna go back that way, then I would think that they'd try to find a 10. But you're right, and in a 4-4-2 kind of formation, I feel like if we're missing a midfielder, I feel like Marlon and Dylan have it in them
To be 10?
to be outside.
Oh, outside.
Because
Yeah,
you mentioned that's kind of how Pablo likes to play. So if you've got Nana and Azira in the middle, just clearing balls and making passes, and if we're pushing it out wide, then maybe we need someone who can work with
So we need
Kevin
a
Doyle.
Cummings.
Someone who can work with Doyle up top. Between the two of them, they can either put heads on balls or feet on balls and put them in the back of the net.
We need that Cummings position.
Yeah,
Is
someone
what
to
we
work
would
with
need.
Doyle.
We need someone that's gonna make really fast off the ball movements and can literally put the ball in the net with any part of their body within that 18.
I think a player we already have fits half of those descriptions.
Baji.
Saeed. I think because we haven't even played him at that 10 spot. We never even tried putting him there. And I think maybe he could have solved a lot of those problems because he's forward-minded.
He does. He
Engine up
likes
front.
to make the forward passes. I mean, he does like to push forward, and so does Nana.
Yeah.
So we might have that in the two of them if we just put them in the right position.
Yeah. Well, I think Nana is in his correct position. He's always been a center defensive mid, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe Saeed, I've known, has been played at the 10. Maybe if they ever want, maybe this is for next year, but if they ever want to experiment with the 4-2-3-1 again, put Saeed there at the 10. That way we don't have to worry about bringing in someone big and then
Yeah,
being a
but I
flop.
still think for the fan base, you need to bring in somebody big. It's not entirely whether we can work with the people we have. Like, technically, if we were a healthy team, we could be a more competitive team, I think. But the fan base still will demand a big signing. It doesn't matter.
Well, then
With how
that,
terrible the season's gone and just fans in general, they're always looking for that next big signing or that next big thing. And if you want to continue to have that stadium volume increase and be able to increase sales, you have to make another big signing.
well, then at that point, you have to like decide where you want to spend that money on, whether it be a 10 or a striker, because those are probably the only two positions that'll bring in a lot of people, unless you bring in a star center back, which they're all going for a lot of money anyways. But I agree that we do need someone big. It just depends on where we put them in the roster and where they can fit. Because there's no use in bringing, like, hypothetical Messi if he doesn't fit in the squad.
Agreed.
Do you think we
He's
could
not
get
gonna-
away with a lesser name if they're with a big Mexican following, if they're from the Mexican
Yeah.
League?
Chumacero, although he's Bolivian.
Marco Fabian, because
Yeah.
that's who I want.
But that'll bring the numbers where the name recognition might not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, take a quick look at transfer market.
Yeah,
I think that if you
I
brought
think
in
that 7 million
big,
euros went down.
big Mexican star, that would happen. I think you would grow a fan base that you're not really catering to just yet. Because obviously the soccer culture here in general either already is a Rapids fan or is basically an EPL snob in general. That's
what we
like there's
call 'em.
obviously other people you can bring in, families and that kind of thing, but in general I think our problem is that a lot of the fans we have here are EPL snobs, and you're never going to get them to come over to a game unless you sign someone for like $11 million. So bringing in those Mexico fans, I think, would actually have a bigger impact than signing somebody from over in Europe.
It's hard to disagree with that.
So no players that we need to immediately change in the midfield, though, right?
I feel comfortable there. Running the formation
Same.
the way we have with who we have. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if we had a big name, but then you're kind of just messing with who do we put in or who do we sit down. The striker is the last position we still need to cover, and that's kind of where I feel like we need the big help.
So who do we have
Yeah.
there? We have Baji, Doyle,
Calvert, Gordon.
Yeah,
Who?
kind of Gordon.
So Brendan,
who?
thinking about if you're going to bring somebody in, it's Doyle's last year on his contract. Would you be okay with them bringing in another signing that plays the number 9 role?
Yeah.
And then maybe working with what we have and going, okay, well, Doyle, you're out the door. We're not going to re-sign you. And making that decision. I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm just saying let's assume, would you be all right with that?
Depends on who it is. I mean, if they come with a bigger resume than Doyle, okay. But if they don't, and you're pushing Doyle to the side, I don't necessarily feel like that might be the right move. I would like it if they can find someone who can work with him, who's a little bit,
I agree.
faster, a little bit more finesse.
Baji 2.0.
Yeah, Anthony Lozano, Lee Griffiths.
That's who you want.
I mean, I Ross McCormick's slow like Doyle, and he likes to play a little bit more towards the left side. So I would say that he's more the same as Doyle. But I think we're kind of looking at a name that maybe some of us might recognize from games that we play or leagues that we follow, but might not necessarily know how good they are until they get here, or unless we look up their, YouTube highlight reels.
Gashi.
Right? And
Josh
that-
Gatt. Oh, wait.
That's kind of the guys that Pareg is looking at. So
They're bringing in Juan Ramirez again.
well, they could try to bring him in. I mean, he's got nowhere to play right now. So
Here's a fun hypothetical. Would you take Urim of Sisian?
No.
Because he's on the outs with RSL.
if we weren't the Rapids,
We are the Rapids. That's why it's fun.
I would
What if
rather
it's
have
announced-
Beckerman back. I don't know. It would be hard to root for a guy who wore those colors for so long.
He seems like he's going to the Galaxy anyway.
And then it'd be
But-
even harder to root for him in
Mhm.
general.
Speaking of the Galaxy, I just read European clubs eyeing Galaxy's Clement Diop. There could be a hole for McMath sooner than we think.
Right? I just saw that too. As we were talking about McMath going to California. Wrong team in LA, but
But it's now.
yeah.
It's in the next 30 days.
And if they lose him due to a large transfer fee, they'd have some money to throw at us.
hmm
Oh, well. We'll have to see what the...
But would we have to spend some of that on another goalkeeper?
Yes.
I don't think they would, though. I don't think they would.
I think the problem is that we really do rely on Howard and McMath to come up big a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give up McMath, then it might be a smart business decision. But when Howard's out on international duty or
Yeah, we just outlined how
that
much
kind of
play
stuff,
time
we
second
need
string's
somebody
gonna
that can actually step up and play. That's not going to be terrible. And from what I've seen with Burner, he's not on even close to the level that McMath and Howard is.
He's
I'm
not,
not
even,
saying they have to be on that level. But
he's not even close to the MLS level. Don't even know where
yeah,
he's
like
at.
it's just we need somebody that's not going to come in and.
All right,
hipsters
he's
got
going to go
Austin.
back to the bathroom.
The hipsters got him.
We have a pretty decent goalie coming up through our... We have a couple of decent goalies coming up through our homegrown system. So I'm not too worried in that department, to be completely honest with you.
It's a bad time to lose McMath, right? I mean, last
Well,
year would have been
yeah.
last year would have been an okay time to lose him, but it's a bad time for us.
I don't think this time's any different than last time.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this what being a Rapids fan is? Talking about strikers directly into goalkeepers?
Yep. Forget the rest of the field. It's one or the other.
Well, because we've always had a decent midfield, and even since Pablo's been here, we've actually had a decent defense. Especially when we're actually healthy, we just have a really big problem about keeping people healthy. It seems like.
Yeah, back to the training issue.
So, like even this season, with how terrible we were, and I haven't looked in the past couple of weeks, but a month ago we were still top 6 defenses in the league.
Doesn't help if you're not scoring.
Yeah. So that's probably changed because we've started letting in more goals as we've scored more goals.
And that's
But-
usually how it goes.
I have a suggestion for striker, Mexican striker, Raul Jimenez from Benfica. Carlos Vela, of course, as you said.
Oh yeah.
Brizuela from Guadalajara. Marco Fabian, of course. And Jürgen Damm.
I would go with Fabian and Carlos Villa.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys, I think, could fill some seats and may even do more
Change.
damage than Howard
Mm-hmm.
as far as hype.
We just got to watch out for that P word. And then we're good.
Well, any final thoughts, guys, as we wrap this transfer window episode up and
Till
kind
the
of
next transfer window episode.
kind of look
Yeah.
forward to whatever happens in the next week, and then we'll talk transfers then.
I look forward
I
to
don't know.
all
Have we,
this being
have we
outdated by
found out
tomorrow.
Juan's Hogwarts house yet?
No, we have not.
Me?
Yeah.
I have a story about that, actually.
Oh,
So in the 5th grade, we were studying Harry Potter and stuff.
Jesus Christ.
this shows our age.
But you
right?
studied Harry Potter?
I
That's
know,
awesome.
right?
Yep. Anyways,
When I was in college, they were reading those in literature classes.
we had to do a personality test to see which house we fit in, and my personality test showed 15, 15, 15, 15, even on all houses. So I don't know what that means for me.
Means you're Il Bastardo. You don't fit in
I
anywhere.
don't fit anywhere.
You're Hermione, man. We'll have to get you on Pottermore, and we'll figure out what your actual
Okay.
house is by the next cast. So, yeah. Any other final thoughts, guys? As someone's cat chimes in. Oh no, that's a baby.
Oh no, that's a child.
Sounded like a cat at first.
That's why I'm in Portland, is to meet my nephew-in-law.
Nephew-in-law. I've never heard that one before.
I know.
Yeah.
You want to be a full nephew, you got to earn it.
Right now, you just in-law.
In-law.
I'm keeping you one removed.
Step your game up.
All right.
I'll keep trying to sign Zlatan on the Rapids career mode.
And I'll try to get that Shakira thing happening.
Yeah.
And I'll try and talk to Chicharito. We're really close friends, obviously.
I like that Shakira thing. I'm all for that. Colin, any final thoughts?
It's going to be a long transfer window.
Yeah, and it's only 3 more weeks to go.
Yeah.
The Rapids thing to do would be sign nobody. That's probably what's going to happen.
No, they'd sign somebody, but they'd immediately get injured. when
Hey,
they walked
hey,
off the
hey.
plane.
I guarantee the Rapids will do nothing this transfer window.
Okay, thank you for your guarantee.
Yeah.
There
that
you
means
go.
it will happen.
There you go. Yep.
And on that note,
Whoops, I just made another Walmart anthem. Still the opposite of tall, dark, handsome. I got junk like a thumbtack, abs like a 1-pack, couldn't run 1 lap. Hoes. My hobbies include knitting, mittens, but that's only when I'm not snitching. These other MCs feel bad, cause I just discovered that my brother is my real dad.